everyone. The League of Women Voters of Oakland and Piedmont would like to welcome you all to tonight's forum for the candidates for the Peralta Community College Trustee Area 5. I am Audrey Olushola Momoh, and before we get started, I want to acknowledge the mass shooting tonight at Rootsdale Continuation School. A shooting injuring 6 individuals. A shooting like this is tragic and all too commonplace in today's world. We are sending compassion and love and healing to all those impacted near and far. And we understand that as more details unfold, we will continue to reach out and support as we can. With that, I also want to thank you all for arriving and showing up tonight. I am pleased to see such a strong turnout, and I hope that those who are unable to attend live will still be able to watch afterwards. Our candidates for the Peralta Community College Trustee Area 5 are Cindy Reiss and Saleem Gilmore. Good to see you both tonight, and thank you for being here. Before we begin, I would like to present some background information about this office. The Peralta Community College District is a collaborative of colleges here in Northern Alameda County. Its mission is to advance social and economic transformation for students and the community through quality education rooted in equality, social justice, environmental sustainability, and partnerships. The Peralta Community College District Board of Trustees sets the overall vision for the district. They have a wide range of responsibilities, including adopting an annual budget, hiring key people, and ensuring the community college district is achieving its goals. We hope you are here because you want to make informed choices when you vote. The League is here to help you make that informed choice, and we have a few simple rules to ensure that you have the information you need to help make the decision through a fair and balanced process. It is important for the League to give the community a voice, which is why we invited the community to send us questions for the candidates in advance. A team of League leaders have sorted through these questions to avoid duplicates and ensure that the most important questions for the community are answered. We will not be taking live questions during this forum. And to minimize distraction, we have turned off the chat and Q&A features. Candidates have not seen these questions in advance. Next, I'd like to remind the candidates of the key ground rules. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer their questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening statements. To keep the discussion flowing, we've asked candidates to keep their answers to 1.5 minutes. Answers will be timed and everyone will be able to see the timer. Candidates, to be fair to the other candidate, if you run over, I will cut you off with the firm "thank you." I will switch up the order and alternate who responds to ensure everyone has equal timing. I have flipped a coin and Cindy Reiss will be going first. At the end of the Q&A section, each candidate will have 1 minute to provide a closing statement. And with that, I invite Cindy Reiss to provide her opening statement.
Thank you, Audrey. And with a heavy heart as we get together today, I do keep, as we all keep, the children at the shooting today in our minds and in our hearts. So it is really unfortunate that we are here today on the day that something so tragic and dramatic has occurred. Let me go ahead and begin with the fact that I have been the Peralta trustee for the past 4 years. Under my leadership, the board and many other things have gotten better, have improved, have changed. But in specific, the board, which has been dysfunctional for many years, as we all know, and also has been at the center of negative attention and of many problems, has become, through externally facilitated retreats, through a cooperation statement, and by holding each other accountable and ourselves accountable, we have finally become a palpably functional board that interacts appropriately with each other, with others, and is focused on the mission of serving students. One of the other major things accomplished during the 4 years is we staved off a state takeover. We are no longer a FICMAC concern as a financially high-risk district. We moved the district out of accreditation probation by being honest with the district's problems and ensuring authentic structural and financial changes that, in my mind, and definitely in the minds of our external stakeholders, will position the district for long-term stability. And we have also created a healthy relationship with our chancellor. And that has been a problem, as you all know, because we've had a revolving door of chancellors. And so the stability that had been gained during the 4 years amidst COVID, 3 of those 4 years, are accomplishments that are necessary, important, but the work is not yet complete. I started talking fast because I saw the timer go down.
Thank you. And Saleem, your turn. Saleem, if you can unmute.
Sorry about that. I lost my mute button for a second. Multiple screens. Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for setting up this forum. It's a great opportunity for the community to learn about our positions and definitely learn more about Peralta Community College. I also want to thank President Reiss for participating and joining us tonight. My name is Saleem Gilmore. I'm running for Peralta Community College Board, Area 5. I'm a native of Oakland. I'm a product of our Oakland public schools as well as our Peralta community colleges. I'm running because it's time for a change. I would really like to go deeper into more of my experience, but I think it's important to just use my time to just counter some of the positivity that the incumbent is sharing, because if you were to have attended the meeting just last night of the board, where I learned that we are now on our 7th CFO in less than 4 years, in less than 5 years, and that the new interim CFO, who was not yet on the website, the former College of Alameda president, who was quickly shuffled into the district office, found an $11 million budget over revenue over calculation. And so very quickly, in the process of trying to approve a budget, the board found that there was an $11 million hole. And the way they filled that hole was to use $4 million in her funds, which are primarily federal funds set up to help students who are facing challenges from the pandemic, and to take the 90 vacant positions, the savings that was incurred, $3.5 million incurred because of 90 vacant positions. And this is a positive note because we're able to move that money to fill this $11 million hole. And we're going to freeze those positions for the rest of the fiscal year. So there will be no administrative hires and a reduction in faculty. And this is why I'm running.
Thank you.
Changes.
All righty. And with that, we dive right in to the questions. Our first question, and Saleem, you will go first, is a report issued in 2019 by the Fiscal Crisis Management Assistance Team, a mouthful, assessed the district's risk level for fiscal insolvency. The results were that the district is at high risk. There is currently an estimated 11 million shortfall in revenue for this fiscal year. How will you address this? You have 1.5 minutes to answer.
Thank you. And I have to be honest and say I can't solve all of that in 1.5 minutes, but I promise I could do it within 4 years. I would say that taking a close look at the budget and making sure that the budget line items align with the priorities of the district and the priorities that the constituencies of the district would like to see. So for example, by virtue of not only freezing positions for the rest of the fiscal year, which means there will be vacant classified staff positions that need to be filled, we've already seen a shortfall due to those gaps, as well as gaps in our administration. So I think aligning the goals of the budget with the goals of the constituency and making sure we are equitably allocating funds to make sure we can meet our goals. I would say that funding teachers is an important priority that is not really reflected in the budget, specifically our part-time faculty. making sure that we have facilities that are adequate and not beyond adequate is something that is not reflected in the budget. And making sure that we keep our staff whole is not reflected in the budget. So I would like to see, for example, more energy for our constituents that need the most support. There has been policy passed that we would have gender neutral bathrooms, and that it's been over 2 years that that policy has still not been fully implemented, and students are being challenged in how to show up as their authentic selves. And so again, identifying the priorities from the constituency and aligning our budget line items with those goals.
Yeah. And Cindy, your turn.
First, let me address the $11 million error. We had not actually adopted a budget yet. So in many different ways, this is actually a manifestation or a verification of our internal controls, because we found the $11 million error before we were actually in the fiscal year already doing our expenditures. There is something that the state chancellor's office had done differently in terms of the TCR, which is called the total computation revenue. So there are quite a few other CCCs who also had similar problems in terms of figuring out the hold harmless and figuring out the total computational revenue. So that, let me just make sure that that clarification is not underestimated, because that is very important. Had we been in the fiscal year and had we already been in our expenditures and in our budget, that would have been a major problem. Our CFO is the first CFO in the years that I have been there where you could trust authentically, genuinely, the expertise, the knowledge, the articulation, the eloquence in terms of what is going on with our budgets. That has never been the issue in the past 4 years. We have finance modules that are being implemented by PeopleSoft. One of the problems that we have had financial problems is there has not been data integrity. During my time there, we brought in Cambridge West. We have fixed many of the items that were delineated in FICMAT, and that has been verified by our auditor, who I meet with monthly to ensure that we are good.
Second question, and Cindy, now it's your turn to go first.
Yeah.
The 2021 grand jury investigation of the Peralta's board found a pattern of Brown Act violations, board interference with the superintendent's recommended appointment of management positions, incivility, and harsh treatment of other board trustees and administrators. The report made 9 recommendations to improve board functions. What can you, if elected, do to follow the grand jury's recommendations and correct this culture of poor governance?
I'll start with the response that we have put forth with substantial evidence did reject wholeheartedly, did disagree wholeheartedly with evidence, some of the allegations that were there. So it is important to note that the allegations by the Peralta grand jury report, by the Alameda County grand jury report, were not all correct, and that is important. Number 2, in terms of the board incivility and the board behavior, as I had said at the very beginning, this started to occur even before I got on the board. The incivility of the board towards public members, towards each other, towards staff, that was all part and parcel of how this board operated. We have fixed that through external facilitation. We also have board policies and a cooperation statement that puts forth the guidelines of every board meeting. Importantly, we also corrected the board policy that speaks to what was the ostensible confusion with the delegation of authority, which is board policy 2430, and the hiring policy, which is 710. And even in the grand jury report, the chancellor had said that it wasn't that there was an intervention. It was that the understanding and interpretation of the words of the original board policy, which is 7110, was not correct and was unclear and needed to be clarified. We have done that. Our current chancellor and chancellors going forward will find that there is no intervention.
And Saleem, your turn.
So yes, I did read the grand jury report, and it was saddening to read some of the challenges. And while as a citizen of Oakland, I am not a member of the board, so I can't speak to what exactly was true or what was not, but I have not heard anyone deny that there were Brown Act violations, that multiple members of the board met outside of a noticed meeting, and even excluding other board members. And so I would say that in order to make the differences that are needed, I will bring a level of leadership and modeling. While I know that the incumbent has experience both locally and statewide, I would think that she has enough experience to not violate Brown Act and Sunshine Act rules. And so having sat on commissions and committees for over 15 years within Oakland and the Bay Area, I have chaired the Measure G Oversight Committee, tens of millions of dollars for student support services within OUSD. I, for 3 years, chaired the CBOC, the Bond Oversight Committee within Oakland Unified School District, where I was responsible for oversight along with my fellow committee members for billions of dollars to make sure that we were holding the system accountable to the will of the voters. I currently serve as the chair of the Personnel Commission in Alameda County Office of Education. And so I share these things to say that I will not misstep and break rules that are pretty obvious and foundational to the work of the board.
Thank you. And to mix things up, Saleem, you will now go first for the next question. In February 2022, Peralta was taken off accreditation probation by the Accrediting Commission for Community and Junior Colleges. What is the current status of the recommendation, and how will the report be used to continue to build on this district and guide the district?
Thank you. I think currently, from my understanding, and again, as a layperson and a citizen, I've read as much as I could. That's within the public record, and did my best to interview those who were more in the know. We went from probation to warning, so we are not out of hot water, and we still are under a level of scrutiny. And so making sure that we have, 1, the facilities, 2, the faculty, and 3, the staff, to make sure we can hold our classes in a way that meets the accreditation standards that are expected, to me would be the first step. We cannot be within good standing if we don't have the staff and the faculty to do that on our behalf. And so making sure that staff are receiving pay increases to make sure morale is built up, making sure that there is quality training and professional development for our faculty, and that they are supported with world-class facilities around them so that they can provide high-level instruction to be able to make sure our students can graduate, for whether they are certificated or in associate programs, and move on to the next part of their career. And so I'm excited to join the board and work with the accreditation committee and work with the other trustees to make sure we can move ourselves out of this warning status into good standing.
Thank you. And Cindy, your turn.
Sure. I am a commissioner on ACCJC, and I have been a commissioner for, this is my 2nd term, so I understand accreditation like it's the back of my hand. This district in 2009 and 2004 was on probation. In 2011, it was on warning. In 2012, it was on warning. 2014, it was on probation. 2017, it was on warning. 2018, it was on fiscal monitoring. And 2019, we got the probation status again. So let me just be clear in terms of understanding that this district has been plagued with accreditation woes for the past almost 2 decades, and that is a very serious problem. And there are financial standards, there are student mission standards, there are facility standards, there are a variety of different standards. So it isn't just talking, and of course, participatory governance standards too as well, but it is not just talking with faculty and staff. There are actual structural problems that this district has had. Last night at the board meeting, which I believe my opponent watched, Dr. Fulks, who is the accreditation consultant, had actually done a PowerPoint presentation as to our current status. And she had gone through all of our deficits. And she had said, because she has worked with this district in terms of the structural changes that have happened. And she has said, as far as she's concerned, knowing and seeing and really investigating, many of the standards that have been recommendations have been met. It is not the official.
Hard to finish ones, yes. And again, spicing things up, Cindy, you will go first for the next question.
Okay.
What do you think Peralta's doing right? And how will you build on that as a trustee?
Yeah, that's an easy question. The 4 colleges are doing a phenomenal job. I will say again, even before my time on this board, I always wondered, how it is that our faculty and our staff and our students continue to go to these particular colleges with all of the woes and amidst all of the problems that the district has had. So the education, the quality of education, the faculty, the staff, the student support services, the energy that's at the colleges, these 4 colleges are amazing. And my commitment was to join this particular board in order to become the board that lifts up this district, that actually lays the stable foundation for all of these colleges, for all that are in the college and colleges, as well as the communities that are outside, to really see the highest quality education at its extremes. With the problems that the district has, that is the result of almost 2 decades of mismanagement. It didn't just happen overnight. That has got to be fixed in order for the colleges to be even better than they are. So the colleges, the faculty, the staff do a phenomenal job, as do the administrators of the colleges. We have problems that we need to fix structurally at the district level so that the colleges could even be better than they are. So I would say the student quality, the student successes, the student access.
And Saleem, your turn.
Thank you. Things that are going well with Peralta. One, I would definitely bring up the students, the energy that students bring to each campus to move us in a positive direction is definitely one of the things that is an asset that the Peralta community colleges have. And then the other areas that I'll mention, while they are successes in some areas, but they're also opportunities. So of the 4 colleges, we have strong leadership at the president level. But if you pay close attention, there's a differentiation in the level of expertise. And so I think we could have more support for our individual presidents. And part of that challenge is the structural issue at the district level in terms of leadership. So for example, again, the president of College of Alameda, who has an excellent track record and was doing an excellent job, was rushed to the district office when an immediate move was made to eliminate the interim CFO. And so while we have opportunities and successes within Peralta, until we change the structural issues at the leadership level, the needs of the district will constantly outweigh the opportunities on the campuses. And then pulling from the campuses, we create dysfunction or levels of instability at those campuses. The other things I'll say is our location. Being in Oakland, we have an opportunity to partner. One of the partnerships that the Peralta system has is the cadet program with Oakland Police Department. I think that's something that can be expanded to the fire department and brought back on campus. So while we have some successes, we also have opportunities.
Thank you. And Saleem, you will answer the next question first. It's a little bit longer one, so let me know, both of you, if you need it repeated.
Yes.
In 2018, voters approved an 8-year renewal for an annual $8 million parcel tax to continue providing the colleges of Alameda, Berkeley, Laney, and Merritt funds to support affordable college education. This includes core academic programs to prepare and support students for university transfer and successful careers by providing tutoring and teacher support. How will you, as a member of the Board of Trustees, ensure that these tax dollars are being spent as authorized? And what role does the Oversight Commission play?
Excellent question. I have experience as a higher education administrator, running programs, leading and directing staff who support students who need additional support. So I have some on the ground, hands-on experience. And in the role of trustee, I won't be able to apply that directly. And so advocating would be one of the roles, providing information and examples of where other colleges are being successful would be one way. Working closely with the chair, Andrea Dawson, who I've worked with in Oakland Unified School District and who actually has mentored me in my role as chair of the Bond Oversight Committee. I think working closely with the chair would be one way to make sure that we are spending those dollars not only in the letter of the law, but also in the spirit of that law. I know that there's concerns by faculty in terms of, for example, very specifically tutoring. So there are core dollars that are coming from parcel taxes. There is $20+ million that we received for COVID, and we're still reducing faculty and classes. And so I think I would need to get a little closer to the fire to be able to understand exactly how we could right the ship. But I think that in terms of the leadership of Andrea Dawson, that is a good start. And making sure that we are, again, listening to our constituencies to make sure we know the needs. It's easy to walk across the Laney campus and see opportunities to improve facilities. And so I don't know what we're looking for.
Cindy, your turn.
Hi, let me just clarify one thing. The $20 million of her funds has nothing to do with the parcel tax whatsoever. The parcel tax is specifically used or is supposed to be used to ensure that the STEM classes, as well as our general ed classes, English, math, science, those classes are given and not taken, the funding for those classes are not extracted, and for the staff and for the resources, whether it's counselors, whether it's faculty, whether it's part-time faculty, or whether it is guidance counselors or mentors in that area or tutoring. As far as the parcel tax, this is our second time with parcel tax, our second go around with parcel tax. When I first came on board, there were no reports on the website as to how the parcel tax dollars were being used. And so one of the things that we did create, and this is where I agree with my opponent, Andrea is probably one of the best individuals to actually chair the Citizens Oversight Committee. She has been vocal, she has been transparent, and as a board member, we rely on the Citizens Oversight Committee to ensure that how those funds are being allocated are exactly to the spirit and to the letter of the law. Our audits have said yearly that they are being allocated properly, but we rely on what Andrea and the Citizens Oversight Committee say in terms of how it actually is being applied according to the spirit of the law. Could it be done even better? Could we fund more classes? I still think yes. However, it is being used correctly.
And Cindy, you will be first for the next question. Peralta community colleges are located in the heart of the tech industry, the main economic engine for our Bay Area. In addition to the current programs, what initiatives do you propose to forge more links with high-tech companies from Emeryville to Silicon Valley for training, job placement, and job placement for a significant number of our community college students?
This has been an issue that we've been talking about at the state level for quite a long period of time. The problem with community colleges is that they are kind of obsolete in terms of curriculum, and they are not nimble enough to go ahead and change because it has to go through a process that is not just local, but is also at the statewide level. We need to build more partnerships with our businesses that are around. But not only that, we also need to get feedback from the businesses that are around that let us know how our students are doing, what they're doing well, and what they're not doing well. It is that loop and it's that feedback that unfortunately doesn't either gets lost, people don't have enough time for it, or it just does not happen the way it needs to happen. Career and vocational ed are the ways that many of our students at this particular point are able to further their education and further their career goals. There are so many different opportunities, as you were saying, in the middle or the hub of Silicon Valley, that we should have those companies generate businesses or generate curriculum by funding what we do and by ensuring that we are actually meeting the needs that they have. We are working with the Port of Oakland. Jelena Bonilla, who is one of our trustees, has done a great job in terms of introducing partnerships and always having us in the lineup or in the queue for partnerships that are working with the Port of Oakland regionally as well as beyond the region. And so it is the CTE, it is the cybersecurity major that we have in the program that we have at Merit that will be our bread and butter for students.
Yeah. And Saleem?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
The Peralta community colleges are located near the heart of the tech industry, the main economic engine for our Bay Area. In addition to current programs, what initiatives do you propose to forge for more links to high-tech companies from Emeryville to Silicon Valley for training and job placement of a significant number of your community college students?
From my observation, I would say that there's a step we need to take before that. The Peralta community colleges have really lost the trust of the community, of the students, through COVID, through cutting of classes, forcing students to wait from one semester to the next to complete their coursework. Students are choosing alternative routes. As a higher education administrator at Cal State East Bay, I recruit students from across the state and primarily within the Bay Area And unfortunately, many of our Peralta Community College students come to us not prepared for four-year level work. And so there's a level of work we need to do internally to make sure we are preparing students for these 21st century jobs that we're talking about. And there's a level of relationship building that we have to do with the community to make sure they see us as a positive vehicle for change. And so those are two things that I think are very important. So I'd like to talk about a couple of things that I would want to initiate within Peralta to get us to that place. And one of them I mentioned briefly is bringing the Oakland Police Department cadet program back on campus. We increased our expenditures for security when we stepped away from Alameda County Sheriff's Office into a community-based nonprofit, which is not providing the level of security that I think we need. Having OPD on campus and cadets on campus could bring a level of trust back to the community. Reaching out to our firefighters and reigniting that cadet program will be another way to prepare students.
Thank you. And also going first again, Saleem. Final question. What are your top 3 priorities as a Peralta trustee?
Thank you for that question. And the first one would be to make sure we hire a permanent chancellor that goes through the participatory governance process, shared governance. And I'll just give one example of why that's so important. We are now on our 7th CFO in 5 years. The interim CFO that recently was dismissed, that happened less than 2 months ago. And because we were in such a crunch, the budget is due at the beginning of October. And so the error was found at the end of August, but that left just over a month to correct the issue, to fill the hole and approve the budget. And within the next 2 to 4 weeks, the board will be approving a revised budget that they know is coming, even though they approved a budget last night, to make sure they stay on track. And so I bring that up because there was no opportunity to do a shared governance process to bring in a new CFO because we were under crunch time to make sure we approved a new budget. And so we are constantly behind the 8 ball. And so one of the things I would do is make sure we hire a chancellor that is accountable to the constituency. The other one is making sure we're offering diversified instruction and courses, both certificated and associate degree programs that draw students in. I would make sure that we're using our bond facility dollars to improve our facilities, and I will be a champion for stringent budget oversight.
Thank you. And Cindy?
Thank you. My 3 priorities would be to continue and maintain the financial accountability and financial stability with the technical implementation that is so necessary to doing that. My second priority would be to ensure that the work of the accreditational functional map, which really lays out the centralized system and the decentralized system of this district, which has been a problem for a long period of time, is implemented by creating and strengthening the stability of the map delineations. And part of that means ensuring that we hire permanent administrators, a chancellor, and a CFO, as well as all of our other administrators that may be out of town and currently on Zoom. And the third, which has been a real problem, again, across the state and across the nation, how do we create an engaged post-COVID environment? I think that there are many things that we don't know about where our students are and what is going to be the educational landscape. And we need to ensure that we are building that relationship, that we are engaging our students, but also that we are engaging our faculty and our staff and all of the people that are inside so that it can be a holistic approach to creating a COVID landscape, a post-COVID landscape, that is.
Thank you. And now we will move on to our closing statements. As a reminder, you will each have 1 minute for your closing statement. And Cindy, you are going first.
Yeah, I'll just go back to saying that it is very, very easy to state what has not been done. And sometimes what has been done may not be sexy or may not be alluring, but they are necessary to do in order for this district to move forward. Again, this district has been the outcome, or the status of the district has been the result and outcome of 2 decades, almost 2 decades of mismanagement and neglect in administrators and in many different ways. And what we've done has really been to position it for longevity without doing all of the structural stuff and thinking that as a board member, one where we can kind of control and do everything we want is a bit of an illusion. There's patience that's necessary. There's work that has to not be in fits and starts, but it needs to be consistent. Part of the problem has been that we've had so many different people come in, change it according to the way that they wanted, and there has been volatility and inconsistency. That's got to stop at this district if the work is being done.
With that, I would like to thank our candidates and
I
thank
don't think
our-
Saleem needs his
Oh.
closing statement.
Oh my goodness, Saleem, my apologies, my apologies. Not yet,
Nope.
candidates, not yet, audience. No thank yous yet. Saleem, please.
Yes, thank you, Audrey. 1 minute. I want to share with those listening and those hopefully who will be watching after this is recorded that I am a servant leader and a change agent. While incivility is not what we need at the board, we also do not need to go along to get along. I am willing to be accountable as well as hold others accountable. I'm willing to point and shine a bright light on areas that may be in the dark, and I'm willing to hold myself accountable where I make mistakes. I am in this role and stepping up to run because I was asked by multiple people in the community. I've spent over 30 years of my professional life in Oakland, working in the Bay Area. And so my reputation precedes me. And when it was clear that it was time for a change and that change would be hard, I was approached by individuals within the community. I would like to use my last few seconds to share that I'm endorsed by the Peralta Federation of Teachers. I'm endorsed by SEIU 1021, Alameda Labor Council, the Building Trades, East Bay Stonewall Democratic Club, the MDO Democratic Club as well.
Thank you. And now I would like to thank our candidates and thank our audience for your commitment to making informed choices. Audience, your local leagues also participate in Voters Edge, an online collection of candidates' information. We encourage you to view the candidates' resumes, platforms, and positions at the Voters Edge website, votersedge.org. Your local league is also hosting numerous additional forums for local candidates who will be on your ballot. Please visit your local league's website using the links you see on the screen, which we will post in the chat. There you will find information about upcoming forums, including how to attend and submit questions in advance, and how to access recordings of past forums. As a reminder, you can also register to vote online through October 24th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Same-day registration is available in person through Election Day. Mailing out ballots will begin on October 10th. You can vote in person, by mail, or by placing your ballot in an official Alameda County drop box. Whatever you choose, please remember to cast your ballot on or before Election Day, November 8th, 2022. Finally, if you have not already, please respond to the quick 2-question poll visible on your screen. The league wants your feedback. After the webinar, you will also receive a 1-question survey in your browser window. Please take a moment to give us your written feedback. Thank you. This ends our Peralta Area 5 Forum. As an update, we will now be ending and the Peralta Area 3 Candidates Forum has been postponed or canceled. We apologize for any inconvenience that cancellation causes, and we hope that you have a great and safe evening. Thank you.